So, how is your website doing? Are you getting as many hits as you would like? Are you a webmaster concerned about maximum web exposure for your clients? Well, then maybe you need to spend some time thinking about search engine optimization. Well, that's just what we're here today to talk about with Jerry West. Jerry is a search engine specialist with a website dedicated to making search engines work for you. Welcome, Jerry.
Thank you.
And Jerry, your website makes some pretty strong claims or even accusations about search engine gurus, as you call them, and you say that there's a lot of misinformation floating around in cyberspace about search engine strategies. Can you explain?
Yeah, there's a ton. Basically, I've been an SEO for 10 years, and some of my favorite misconceptions out there is, the vaunted guaranteed placement or guaranteed listing. Many SEO firms will go through and state this claim, and what will happen is they'll either target keyword phrases that generate so little traffic that, yes, you'll be at the top, but you'll receive no traffic, no sales, therefore your money's wasted. Or they'll offer you a guarantee, and this is a great guarantee. The guarantee goes like this. We guarantee that we'll do the work, get you traffic, or we'll keep doing the work for you for free until we get there. The problem with that guarantee, while it sounds good, it says nothing about getting your money back. It's basically holding your money hostage. If an SEO can't get it right the first time, they're not going to get it right the second, third, or fourth time. And what ends up happening, you end up firing the SEO firm, they keep your money, and you try to find someone else to go to. Another one is still, even though they've been dead for about 6 years, is meta tags. People think that search engine optimization lives and dies with meta tags. They've been dead since 2000. Google has never read them, but people just, for some reason, think that meta tags are the way to go through to get their website highly indexed and highly placed, and that's just not the case. There's a few others that really can go through and hit you. For example, right now Google is really big on linking. Okay, it's been said that the more links you have, the better you do with Google. So people will say, well, in order for me to trick Google, I'll do a three-way link exchange, meaning I link to you, you link to a third party, that third party links to me. That way Google can't detect that we're doing a link exchange. That in itself is what we call a mind crime, meaning that's false information. Google can detect these. They find them and they punish the website to go through and do them. Mind crime can be defined as, well, essentially, I talk about on the website how certain search engine gurus are out there lying on purpose. And the reason why they're doing this is they want to protect their business. They don't want the threat of competition. Therefore, they spread misinformation to lead a lot of people astray so their business stays protected. We're going through and we're launching a whole site dedicated to educate people on the real power of SEO, how to do it, the right path, and to ensure that you don't get led astray by these basically misconceptions and outright lies.
Wow. Well, it seems to be important at this point, Jerry, since you started giving us some definitions, there seems to be a whole separate language for the search engine area of expertise. So maybe we can go over some of the terminology before we get into the details. You mentioned mind crime. Can you go ahead and describe that again? Mind crime?
Well, a mind crime is it's a brand new term that's been coined, just a few years old, and just essentially it's when a community secretly holds valuable information in order to further their own success, and they purposely lie to outsiders by spreading disinformation like meta tags and three-way linking and such. So they're able to grow their own fortunes without the threat of competition. That's the bottom line, is they don't want competition. So they will, I've talked to countless people who've gone to seminars or bought ebooks or took an SEO course They all say the same thing. I did exactly what they said to do, but it didn't work. Or I did what they said and my site got banned. Well, why is that? Well, that happened because they didn't tell you the truth. They do it, unfortunately, on purpose.
Well, that's scary. How about meta tags? You mentioned them. I'm a layperson. Again, what is meta tags?
Meta tags were first created to kind of, catalog the Internet. When search engines, this is back in 94, 95, over 10 years ago, they, it's very, very similar to the card catalog when you went to the library. There was an area to put in a description so that the search engine would know what your website was about. Then it had a keyword meta tag where you'd put your keyword phrases in there. And so the search engine would better able to understand exactly all the phrases that it should rank you for. Okay. Well, this was a very good idea. The problem is what unethical people did. They would go through and put in keyword phrases in their meta tags that had nothing to do with their website. They had a website selling a new synthetic motor oil, but they would go through and put in like Britney Spears, or they would put in some other unrelated keyword phrases in an attempt to get traffic, albeit unrelated traffic, but traffic nonetheless to their website. What ended up happening is this became such a widespread problem. When Google stormed on the scene, they came out in '98 and they basically took off in 2000. They knew that if they were going to be a qualified search engine, they could not read meta tags and basically take over the market share. That's one of the big reasons why Google did so well, is because they ignored the meta tags and just scored on not only what the website said, but what other websites said about that page. But essentially, meta tags in itself, it's a waste of time. Websites are not ranked well just by using meta tags. Sure, Yahoo and MSN still use them, but they have downgraded the use of them in their algorithm to a degree that just doesn't make sense to rely on them.
All right, so Google is a search engine. Now, is Yahoo a directory or a search engine?
Yahoo is actually both.
Okay.
Yahoo was a directory for many, many years, and the search portal they used for years was a search engine or search database called InkMe. They're also located in the San Francisco Bay Area, right there with Yahoo, and also Google's right there too. Yahoo was a great directory, and they charged a fee to be listed, and they decided that search was starting to become very, very powerful. So they actually had a very nice agreement with Google back in 2000. In fact, it happened on Independence Day of the U.S., July 4th, 2000. Google started supplying Yahoo their search results, and this occurred for about 2 years until Yahoo went out and bought Inkme outright. So now when you do a search in Yahoo, it's Yahoo search, no longer Google. But also is many people have the misconception. Again, we go back to the term mind crime. They have the misconception that getting a directory listing is going to give them a nice placement in Yahoo.
Sure.
That's not true.
Not true.
No, because what happens if you go to Yahoo right now, you'll see that that it defaults to the search box. You have to actually click on directory to search the directory, and very, very few people go through and do that route. In fact, our testing shows that the average site that we have over 300 test domains that we have. The average site that we have in the Yahoo directory gets 64 referrals from the Yahoo directory. Now you're paying $300 a year to get into Yahoo directory at 64 referrals. That's a very expensive cost per click.
Well, why don't you name off a few of the other search engines that actually can compete with Google, in your opinion?
Well, there's only two, and that is Yahoo and MSN.
MSN. Okay.
All the others, for example, Ask Jeeves, has so little market share that it's not worth doing anything with those. It's just the three: Google, MSN, and Yahoo. And people will always point all the time that, you know what, Ask Jeeves has a 6% market share. That's not actually true. What happens is these numbers are oftentimes convoluted by the media. We always rely on the media to tell us the truth.
Sure.
They don't always do a very good job. What I look for in the 300 test domains that we go through and use, we look at actual click-throughs. We don't care about searches, okay? The reason why we don't care about that is if you're in business to get traffic from the search engines, you're more concerned over a click to your website than you are a search that's performed. I'll give you an example. If you look at Yahoo, when you do a search with Yahoo, there's a lot of stuff that comes up, a lot of ads, a lot of extra things that are on the screen that
Right.
can cause distractions. Get the user to click somewhere else besides a search result. That's what we're looking at here is the percentage of the community that gets the actual traffic.
Okay. All right, I can tell you have a lot to say about a lot of these. Let's just go quickly through a few more terms just so we know what you're talking about. Okay. The first one is AdSense.
Well, AdSense essentially is, this is a part of Google.
Okay.
And Google launched their advertising platform called AdWords several years ago. And just after they launched AdWords, they allowed website owners to host Google's ads on their own pages. So, for example, if you had a website, you could allow Google to show their ads on your webpage. Now, Google's very, very smart. They can actually, in less than a second, they can spider your page and display ads that actually are relevant to the content on that page.
Makes sense.
Now, what Google will do for you is if someone clicks on an ad, Google will do a rev share with you. For example, if the advertiser paid $1 for that click-through, they're willing to pay $1 for it. Of course, the actual ratios aren't known, but we'll just go through and use an example. Google would give you 60 cents of that $1, and they would keep 40. As an incentive to keep driving more traffic to your web pages, so their revenue goes up and so does yours. And there's been a lot of people who've made an awful lot of money with AdSense, and there's been a lot more people who have tried it and failed.
Okay. AdSense. PageRank. Why is PageRank important?
PageRank. If you use the Google toolbar, you'll know that PageRank with Google will show up as a little green bar indicator. I refer to it as the green bar addiction. Essentially, is people are so worried about PageRank. What PageRank is essentially is it's Google's way of grading a page in its authoritativeness or its importance.
Okay.
It's a scale from 0 to 10, of course 10 being the highest. Sites that grade out a 10 would be like Yahoo, Google, and such. 8s and 9s would be CNN, ESPN. You know, the really big names that you will always hear about. But people have, for some reason, just realized that they have to have a high page rank in order to make it. And while that was true about 2 years ago, this is another mind crime issue right here. It's not the case anymore. In fact, if you go through and do searches throughout Google, you'll notice if you click on each result in the top 10, almost every time you'll find one or two sites that have a 0, 1, or 2 page rank. You may wonder, well, how can that be? They're so low. That's because Google has more than 110 different pieces of criteria that go into their algorithm. And PageRank is just one of those.
Okay.
And what people should also realize, too, is this information, Google is very protective of what they have. Because they have the largest share of the market, they're protective of how their algorithm works. So what they'll show you is actually about 4 to 6 months old. It's not current information. So that PageRank that you see is not current. It's not accurate. And that's why a lot of people make very, very poor decisions in terms of who they partner with or who they will accept advertising from, because, well, I'm not doing business with these guys. They have a low PageRank. Well, that's not a really good way to do business.
It's not a good indicator at that point.
No, it's not, because it's old information, and people, like I said before, they're just, it's an addiction. They're just so fueled by this, and they're led astray in terms of their vision and why they're in business to begin with.
Okay. Well, we can talk more about that later. Why don't you tell me? Well, I've heard of the University of Maryland Terps, but I've never heard of SERPs.
Yeah, the term SERPs, S-E-R-P-S, it stands for Search Engine Results Pages. And you'll hear SEOs talk about SERPs all the time, and all that references to is when you do a search, you click on the search button, what displays, that's the SERPs.
Okay.
It's a very, very simple and straightforward answer.
Okay. Black hat, white hat, you talk about that on your website. They sound like cowboys
black
to
hat,
me.
White hat, yes. Basically, it's pretty much understood. The black hats are the bad guys, the white hats are the good guys. In terms of SEO, a black hat would be one who would engage in techniques that would violate the search engine guidelines. For example, Google has various guidelines that you can't do certain things, and black hats will violate those in terms of generating more traffic quickly. Without getting too technical, there's a term called cloaking that's been out for years and years and years, and essentially what it refers to is you're able to show the search engine one page and show the visitor another. Now, how it works is this. We all know that search engines love content. They don't particularly like JavaScript, graphics, tables, and such.
Right.
So what a black hat will do is it'll create a page that's very content-heavy. And they'll also have a page that's very much has Flash, JavaScript, very much intuitive, very beautiful page. What will happen is the search engine will come to index the site, and the cloaking script detects the IP address and says, okay, let's see what IP address this is. Oh, this is MSN. So it will give the MSN bot a page specifically optimized for MSN. So MSN indexes this page. It ranks well. Now, you or I click on this listing. The cloaking script detects that we're not a search engine spider. We're a real person. We're a browser. So the search engine, the cloaking script will serve the very beautiful page. So that's how cloaking works. The term cloaking, in my view, it's a wrong term.
Okay.
It should be called IP delivery.
Okay.
Now, let me give you a better idea why cloaking or IP delivery was first introduced back. I helped write a script back in '96 for a Ford Motor Company. What they wanted to do is, if someone, let's say in Japan, went to Ford.com.
Okay.
Well, Ford didn't want them to go to Ford.com and have to click on the flag for the Japanese version of the site. Instead, they wanted an automatic detection of where this person was logging in from and giving them the site closest to them. So the IP delivery or the IP detection would say, okay, this is an IP address from Japan. We serve them automatically the Japanese version of the website. how IP delivery or cloaking started, and that was the main reason for it. It became popular because it was very easy to go through and manipulate the search engines and show one page, display another, and so forth. The whole concept behind it is fine. It's the use of it that's wrong. And the biggest problem is the content won't match. They'll have a page that's highly ranked for an off-topic, and they'll switch them to another, very much a bait and switch type of situation. You search for, we used the example before, you search for a motor oil substitute, and you're rerouted to a pornography site. This happened. Was it 01? There was some hijacking done to the Smithsonian page. So people would think they're going to the Smithsonian website. Instead, they got routed to a pornography site.
So
that was a huge problem. In fact, it actually led to legislation that President Clinton put in that you could not use trademark terms in your meta tags. You had grade school children in class doing searches, and the teacher, what they thought was the Smithsonian page, they'd be redirected to a porn site.
And those were the black hats behind all of that.
Exactly.
Okay, so the white hats ride in on their horses and save the day, or?
Well, white hats basically they build websites the old-fashioned way. They're all static, and they obey all the rules. It may take them months or years to go through and generate good quality traffic, but they do so that they follow every step. They don't violate any rules or any terms. That's the biggest difference between the white hat and the black hat. The black hat will use very shady techniques to generate traffic, while the white hats will go through and do everything that's clean and pure to ensure that if for example, Matt Cutts from Google would walk in and look at your site, he would go through and give it his blessing, whereas the black hat would make sure that Matt Cutts couldn't find it for any reason. Just Matt Cutts leads the spam fighting team at Google. That's his main job.
Good to know. Okay, density.
What density refers to is oftentimes called keyword density. It's the percentage of the use of the keyword phrase on the page. Example would be you have a 500 word document, and the keyword phrase that you use is used on the page 5 times. You would have a 1% keyword density for that page.
Okay.
Now, this is also where a lot of people go through and get confused. And I need a 10 to 12% keyword density. You don't want to do that. Your keyword density should be, in fact, I'm one that always states you want to be very careful of who you listen to and where you get your information, because I'm a big proponent of you build a quality site first, and the traffic will come naturally just because of how you built it, as long as you have a very good SEO foundation. I'll give you some quick numbers here that, in fact, we go through and we poll and we research and target all the major engines very, very closely. For example, the density in the content itself in Google has been about 1 to 2% over the last 8 months. You go over to MSN, and MSN ranges from 2 to 4%, and over at Yahoo, it ranges from 2 to 5%. So with those numbers, you can basically state if you're within 2 to 3%, you're going to be okay. You start getting above that, and the search engine will think that you're what's called spamming. You're trying to go through and keyword stuff the page to make the page increase. I've got data that shows if you go through and make those numbers too high, it'll start to fall in Google, because Google looks at those numbers very, very closely, and they want to make sure that the page is relevant. They don't want someone going to the search results pages and finding garbage.
That's interesting. Okay, last but certainly not least, because I'm sure many more of these terms will come up during our conversation, but search engine marketing.
Search engine marketing, also called SEM, we have search engine optimization, SEO. Search engine marketing will encompass pay-per-click, and that acronym is PPC. And all the major engines have a way to go through and show advertisements on the SERPs, search engine results pages. Search engine marketing also includes affiliate marketing, and I'll briefly touch on that. Essentially, what affiliate marketing is you sell other people's products for commission. Example would be Sony. Sony has an affiliate program. The average payout is about 8%. So if you, through your marketing efforts, send a visitor to Sony and that person buys, Sony would give you 8% of that sale. It's very similar to what we do every day. I mean, people ask us all the time, where do you get your hair cut, who's your doctor, and so on and so forth. And we give out our recommendations, but very rarely do we get a check for 20% of the surgery that your doctor does, right? But affiliate marketing allows you to get a commission based upon your recommendation. And that's why affiliate marketing has really been a powerful force in SEM, or search engine marketing.
Okay. Well, now that we're through with some of this terminology, you're free to toss around those words at will. So it's all about getting traffic and getting to the top of the list. So, Jerry, what do we need to know before we find someone to help us with SEO?
Good question. Like I said earlier, I've been doing this for 10 years, and a lot of people have... Well, let me back up. The first thing that you want to do is actually sit down and make a plan on what you want to accomplish. I know that may sound kind of hokey, but most people don't have a vision or a plan of action. So they get into a web business without any type of direction, and they wonder why in 6 months they haven't made any money, or they may be in the hole. It's because they don't know where they want to go. So get down on paper what it is you want to accomplish, and therefore you can then start to understand who your target audience is. Understand who your public is. If you have to do surveys, do surveys. Once you have that understanding, you can begin to do keyword research, starting to understand what people are searching for. WordTracker.com has a very nice database where you can go through and find out what people are searching for. You want to ensure that the traffic that comes to your website is traffic that will buy. Don't get suckered into the thought of, I have to get a ton of traffic, I have to throw stuff up on the wall and just see what sticks. No, I'm against that philosophy. I'm the philosophy of, you drill down, you find out exactly what people who are deep into the buying cycle. Let's back up here. Let's talk about the buying cycle for a moment. The buying cycle can be anywhere from someone doing initial research to doing extensive research to the point where they're ready to buy. If you bring someone to your website who's just doing initial research, the chances of them buying are very, very slim. If you bring someone in who's at the very end of the buying cycle, for example, the actual Sony component, the actual part number, that's someone who's looking to buy, right?
Right.
But someone who just types in DVD player, that's probably not someone who's looking to buy right now. So you want to ensure that your time, effort, and advertising go into bringing people in who are at the very end of that buying cycle. Sure, you'll get people who are at the beginning, but the ones that you're targeting, that you're spending the most amount of your time, are those ones who are ready to buy. There's other areas you want to go through and look at too. And those are your website design, to ensure that it's user-friendly, the copy or the words on the page make sense. This is where SEOs really have a hard time. They go through and they sprinkle keyword phrases all through their text. you go back and read the text, it doesn't make any sense. People read it and they go, this doesn't make any sense. Yes, they have a number one ranking, but if the user is not going to convert into a buy, it's not worth it, is it? And that's where people get confused. So if I can give any advice that's really taken today, and that is you want to ensure that your traffic is qualified traffic.
Okay.
You'll start to understand or look at weblogs, and that is it's detailed information about the people who come to your website, how they got there, how long they stayed, what pages they saw, what page they left on. This is key information so you can understand, wait a minute, 68% of my visitors are leaving off this page, and they're not buying. I need to go and do something with that page to ensure that my conversion ratios will be better. Sometimes it's not about getting more traffic. It's actually doing something with the traffic you already have coming to your website.
And this is the job of the SEO.
This can be. This is more of an SEO/SEM. Someone who has good experience at marketing, copywriting. There are some fantastic SEOs out there that have great experience in all aspects of marketing. This is not just about driving traffic. This is actually taking that traffic and getting them to buy, because seriously, that's all that matters at the end, right? How often does the cash register ring? That's what we're here for, right?
Okay, so just to recap, before we find an SEO, we need to have a good idea of what our goals are. We need to know who is our target audience. And then the SEO can help us find out what people are searching for, do some keyword research into our particular product or website, help us with design, and make sure there's qualified traffic coming to our website.
If you have a very good understanding of what you want, this will help the SEO do their job better. And one thing you want to make sure that you do is, once you pick out a very good SEO, let them do their job. You know, too often we try to go through and micromanage the people that we outsource to, and that can lead to a disaster very, very quickly.
Now, you mentioned the website designers that actually sprinkle the keywords throughout the website just to try to get that traffic. Can you give us any examples of some really out there websites that may have had that happen?
I don't have any off the top of my head, because the ones that I've used for years as examples, they've all changed their copy. But I'm sure everyone's seen them out there. They'll go through and they'll read the actual text, and you can tell it's keyword stuff, because there's just...
It doesn't make a lot of sense.
No, that is every other word is bolded or in a different color, and it makes it very, very, very much very unreadable, and just does not convert well.
All right, so how do I find someone? Do I Google them if I'm looking for an SEO?
Funny you should say that. That's probably the best place to start, because again, if the search engine guru is not high listed, then why are you bothering trying to hire them to do the same for you? That's one place to start. A second is talk to associates. Talk to, if you have a good relationship of not necessarily with your competitors, but with people close to your industry, ask them who they would recommend. Sometimes it's not always going with the biggest firm, but someone who has, there's many SEOs who work out of their homes,
sure,
who are very, very good and will do as good of a job or better than you'd get from a very large SEO firm. It's basically, there's a few components. One would be your budget. Two would be the time that you need to see results. And three, it's going to be your industry too. If you're trying to crack into the casino industry, it's not really going to matter who you hire. It's going to be very, very, very expensive. It will take a long time to do. But if you have a revolutionary product that you want to get out there on the market, almost any SEO can go through and help you get exposure and start bringing in traffic.
Okay.
I would probably ask three questions, three key questions. One, ask them what their methodology is, and that's basically what methods they use. Two, you want to ask them, of course, how long they've been doing SEO. And third, ask them if they're certified.
Oh, there's actually a certification.
Really good SEOs are going to be certified, and what that means is they went to a higher up company, and they learned the basics, the intermediary areas, and also the advanced techniques to do proper SEO.
Okay. Good information. Well, it's no secret that internet and technology has changed the way we market. You know, everyone and every business has a website nowadays, and they're all vying for attention in the marketplace. And obviously, this has become a major portion of our advertising budget. You can target your audience so much more specifically. And how can you give us an idea of what percentage of the advertising budget this is taking up at this point?
It really depends upon the company or the individual who's doing the advertising online. It's been growing at a rate it's almost doubling every single year. For a Fortune 500 firm, the numbers that I've seen range between 13 and 22%.
Wow. That
they're now spending to go through and do not just online marketing, but this is also taking care of their website maintenance and such. So it's if you went back to 2000, most Fortune 500 companies were spending 1-2% of their overall budget, and now we're seeing that really escalate. And even just the pay-per-click numbers are almost doubling every year in terms of money spent.
So search engine marketing has really become a whole new area of marketing and advertising. It's interesting.
It has. It's now being considered a very serious player, and it's no longer looked at as the black magic, so to speak, that it's been known for years.
Well, what's going on out there in cyberspace that website owners and webmasters need a website such as yours or an SEO or an SEM?
Well, we talked about before about the misinformation.
Okay.
The SEOmindcrime.com site we've been talking about is put together for a few key reasons. One is, of course, to clear up misconceptions. And two, it's going to give you, we talked about white hat and black hat.
Right.
I'm in charge of the white hat side, and Keith Baxter, who is known as one of the biggest cloakers out there right now, he's handling the black hat side. And what you'll learn here is basically you'll learn both the white hat and black hat techniques, and you'll understand every methodology in terms of internet marketing, what works and what doesn't, because we're not just a couple of guys who go around and talk to people and sell information. No, we're in the trenches. If you're an affiliate marketer, if you're an SEO, we're in the trenches right along with you. This is real information from real websites that we've done, and essentially we're releasing this because we're both really tired of the misinformation. You need to have a really good foundation, a good foundation of not only what to do, but how to do it. Keith and I have gone through and sometimes spent weeks, months, or even years learning the process. And instead, we're going to go through and show you exactly what took us all this time to learn. So it's going to reduce your amount of pain, so to speak. But essentially, if we step back for a moment, and the one aspect that really causes most people to fail online, it's not lack of traffic, it's not lack of sales, it's not lack of knowledge. Oftentimes, it's the lack of the ability to get things done themselves. They lack direction.
And
they
information.
Lack focus.
Yeah, direction and information.
So, along with what we have in terms of information, we also have some key information that will help you overcome things as simple as understanding the key things to do and how to get motivated enough to get them done. I've talked to, hundreds and sometimes thousands of website managers, site owners over the years, and it's always apparent the reason why they're failing and the reason why they're struggling is because of them. They don't have the drive that they need to get over that hump.
It's totally understandable because technology changes so fast. I mean, how can any of us, especially small business people, keep up with the changes? I mean, we really need you guys.
Right, and you don't just need us. What you really need is almost the release from the fear, the unknown that you just can't seem to smash through. I'll give you a great example. We went through when I was doing a workshop in Orlando about a year and a half ago, and this gentleman, he was in a tremendous niche. He had a great niche market, a great product, and I actually went through and found 3 key holes that all he needed to do was to fix them and invest about $20,000 in terms of advertising, and the projection was he would make over $1 million that year. I mean, we're talking about a serious ROI.
Can you mention what the product was?
Unfortunately, I can't just because I've got a non-disclosure with everyone I talk to.
All right.
But the issue is this. 6 months later, I call him up and to check to see how he's doing. He never did it because he was too overcome in fear to invest that $20,000. But he knew that he would make the $1 million. The problem was there was still some doubt in his mind. We all have those great conversations with ourselves, right? That we just can't do it,
right?
And that's almost always the downfall. Most SEOs, most website owners in this business are either single-person entities or 2 or 3 person operations. And sometimes you have a lot going against you, but you have the information, you have the technology, you have the tools, but what you lack is the confidence in yourself to actually get it done. It's to me, it's amazing. Some people even have a glass ceiling where I had one gentleman who said he had never made more than X amount in his career in a given year, and even though he had the tools to triple that number, he just said, I can't do it because I can't fathom making that much money.
Wow.
So they don't do it, and most people say, well, why would they do that? I can't believe they would do that. But then we turn around and we actually find ourselves in that same exact situation, and that's unfortunate.
So you're there to get us past those stumbling blocks and try to.
I'm not there to go through and do any kind of rah motivational speaking. That's not who I am. But what I will do and what we have available is very simplistic exercises to go through that will help you systematically get through your barriers. I'll give you a great example. I carry with me all the time. Of course, this is going off subject, but I think it's relevant. I carry with myself a business journal, okay? And I don't keep one on my computer. I write things down. And the reason why I do that is I feel there's a certain aspect between the brain, your hand, and a pen that causes creativity to really have a jump start. I take this everywhere with me. In fact, I've had tremendous ideas with a snowboard strapped to my feet up on the mountain. But I know for sure if I wait until I get back home to write down the ideas, it's going to be gone. It's not going to be there in its entirety. So if I start to write it down immediately, the idea will start to grow. And because you write it down, the idea may not work today. This happened to me last October. Last October, I was going to a flight back east. I grabbed the wrong business journal on accident. I grabbed one from 2 years previous. So I decided on the plane to go through some of my old ideas. And I always go back through about 6 months later and make comments. And this one idea I had written in the margin in red ink, stupidest idea ever. And I underlined it, right? Well, technology had changed. The market had shifted. And as I read this idea, I'm like, wait a minute. This can work now. When I got off the plane, I called my staff back at the office, told them the idea and the spin that I wanted to do on it, caught a cab to go to my hotel. By the time I got to the hotel, my staff had done all the keyword research, gotten the basic foundation of the website done, and by the end of the day, we had a website up. A campaign was going to be launched in about 2 or 3 days, and this single idea has been the biggest moneymaker of our company.
Wow. I love that story.
The only reason why that happened is because I kept a business journal, I wrote it down, I was able to go back through and remember an old idea, dust it off, give it a spin, bam, there's success.
Well, that's inspiring. Okay, Jerry, so I'm your client. I hire you to help me out with my website. What are some of the strategies you might recommend? Let's just get down to brass tacks for maximizing my search engine presence for my website.
Okay, so basically, you've got a website and you want to go through and just maximize your presence. A few key issues you want to look at. One, the first thing that I would do would be to look at your weblogs. I want to know what's happened. If you're failing, I want to know why. If you have some success, I also want to know the reasons behind that too. I want to look at conversion ratios, and what conversion ratios are is the number of sales divided by the number of unique visitors. And currently on the web, you're looking at about 0.7 to 0.9%, less than 1%. Not too good. If you're suffering from there, a great book for you to get is a book called Call to Action. You can get that at Amazon. About $15 hardcover. What this will show you is ways to go through and increase your conversion ratios from the 1 to 2% to 7 to 8% or even more. I want to look at where your traffic is coming from. I want to see what keywords you're targeting. I also want to see if the actual search engines are able to index your site. You know, I had a Fortune 500 company call me about 3 years ago, wanting help, and they said we have no traffic from Google whatsoever. Well, the problem was they actually had a line in a robots.txt file that was excluding Google from indexing their site. It's amazing some of the small and unknowingly bad mistakes a lot of webmasters and large companies make.
And simple.
So I look at to make sure that your site's currently being indexed. That's always a big issue. I will look to make sure that you have a site map through Google, and I don't mean the site map where you click on a link and it gives all the pages in your website. I'm talking about this. This is a new program Google has called Site Maps, which will it's an actual feed. It's an XML feed that will give every page of your website to Google so it can index it. Then it'll tell you all the areas where you have problems. It's almost like going to the doctor and getting a prescription. You understand what's wrong with your website and why Google can't index certain portions of your website. So we'll look at your keywords very, very, very closely. We want to make sure that you're targeting the right ones. We'll look at your code. We want to make sure that your code is proper. There's a few things we want to look at. The very, very top of every web page should be what's called a D2D statement, document type definition. This tells the robots and search engines and also the browser that's loading your website what version of HTML your web page is created, and some other key information. This allows your website to be loaded faster in most browsers, and the search engines can actually index your site faster. But make sure you use the right one. If you use the wrong one, it will have the adverse effect. and you'll start to get slower load times and slower or even non-indexing by the engines.
Okay.
So, anyway, so those are some key components I would go through and start looking at through your website at the very beginning. Very, very foundational. Just ensuring that you're compliant, you're doing things the right way, and things that you're not doing correctly, we want to get those corrected first.
So you would actually make the corrections, or would I do that myself?
If I was your SEO and you had, you were a 1 or 2 person operation, I'd probably do them myself just to ensure they were done properly. If you were a large company, you would never give me access to do that, so it'd be the company that would go through and do that.
Okay. Now, you talked about the guy who was reluctant to invest the $20,000, which could have resulted in huge sales increases. Do you have any success stories you can share with us?
Sure. One of my favorites was just recently. If those people who know Google well, Google has what's called a supplemental index. It's an index that holds pages that have been devalued. They are in the process of basically being removed from the index. Google feels they just aren't worth anything. I had a gentleman who subscribes to our service, our information, and we went through and wrote a step-by-step guide on how to get out of the Google supplemental index. Hell is what we called it. Well, he had a very large client, and they had, I believe, about 50,000 pages indexed by Google, and all of them were in the supplemental index. All the pages were. He went through and followed the guide step by step, and in less than 30 days, all 50,000 pages were removed from the supplemental index in the real Google index, and traffic just went through the roof.
Wow.
And of course, the client, just treated this guy like a god. Of course, of course they would, because of what he was able to do. But what was amazing is his comment to me was, it was very simple. It didn't take all that much time, but I was able to go through and follow things step by step by step and get them done.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, can you project, say, 5 or 10 years into the future? Maybe you've already written this in your business journal, and share what your predictions are for where we'll be with this technology.
5 to 10 years, there's no way. If you look back, 10 years ago. 10 years ago, the biggest search engines were Alta Vista, Magellan, InfoSeek was a big player. Yahoo was just starting out to get a lot of traffic. Now, you look at all of those, but one have gone away. Even 5 years ago, Google didn't have the share they have now. They were also just really starting to get a stranglehold on the industry. It wasn't until 2002 where they really came on. 5 years from now, there has to be a new player in the search community. There's going to be even 1 year from now, you'll see a drastic change probably. I'm still one that believes that Microsoft someday is going to get it right. My opinion is they hired the wrong people. They hired people who don't know how to test or write an algorithm, in my opinion. I think they'll get it right, and they'll start to go through and they'll use their huge influence, especially what they have with the Windows platform, to start taking market share away. They've already started doing that already. We've seen a nice spike just this month with MSN. MSN right this month is currently at about 22% market share, which is up from the previous quarter. They were about around between 6 and 8% on average. Anyway, my personal prediction is SEO and SEM will continue to climb. Will continue to be a huge part of the economy. We'll start seeing more and more advertising being done online, more and more interactive sites, interactivity. 5 years. I know they've got web TV right now.
Right.
5 years, you know, DirecTV and Dish Network will have, and Comcast Cable and AT&T Network will have the web fully integrated with their cable and satellite subscriptions. It's just going to happen.
May not take that long. Yeah.
Probably not. We may even see that in about 18 months.
Well, I think we need a new television series featuring you and your partners, and you guys are the cyberspace CSI team.
That's right. Yeah. Keith Baxter and I. That would be pretty good.
So let's talk about your website, because you are out there to fight these atrocities that are happening out in cyberspace. If I were to plug in some keywords, what would be the keywords that would take me to your website?
Well, the website that we're launching with Keith Baxter is brand new. It's not launching until July 1st. So, in fact, my main website, webmarketingnow.com, we don't take clients. So in terms of the keywords that will bring up that site, we don't market that site at all. We do 100% affiliate marketing. So we market other people's products. And unfortunately, I can't release any keyword phrases, thus I don't want anyone to know what my affiliate sites are, thus they would go through and duplicate those. But, for the term web marketing, we've been in the top 10 for years in the big three. So you can go to Yahoo, MSN, and Google. So essentially, in fact, we did some recent testing, so it may not be in the top 10 in Google, but it is there in MSN and Yahoo. But what you're mainly looking for is the SEOmindcrime.com.
Okay.
And
that is your web address
right now to be on the waiting list. So when the launch does happen, July 1st, you can jump on it. It's going to essentially it's going to take the industry and turn it upside down. It's not going to be too bad. Keith Baxter is actually posting his in video form his personal step-by-step basis to go through and give yourself a $50,000 a year raise, and basically you'll be working your tail off for it, but he'll give you a step-by-step basis to do it. Okay, so it's
SEOmindcrime.com.
SEO Mind MIND crime CRIME.com.
Okay, we will definitely be going to your website, and I'm sure many of our listeners will also, and we will be prepared to work a lot harder afterwards. So thank you, Jerry West, for joining us, and I wish you great luck with your website, and we'll hopefully be seeing you in cyberspace.
Sounds good.
Well, thanks for joining us today to learn everything we never knew about search engine optimization. For more information about this topic, you can contact Jerry West at www.seomindcrime.com. Happy online searching, everyone!